Okay, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about walking bass and playing chords simultaneously on guitar. It's a lot of fun to do, get a big sound, get some motion going, and it's surprisingly easy. Most people who I show this to pick it up pretty quick. So let's get started by breaking it into two components. We've got the bass line and we've got the chord accompaniment. So with the bass line, let's start with there. The goal is not to come up with the hippest bass line you can, because you've got to devote some attention still to what you're doing with the chords and be able to play bass line that allows you to grab some chords. And because everything is moving by pretty quick, the quality of the line often just is obscured, and what's more important, more noticeable, is the groove. And that's really what our primary concern is here, is just setting up something that's swinging, that's in the pocket, that's really grooving pretty hard, getting the motion going. Okay, so for the purposes of this lesson, what we'll do is we'll turn around 2, 5, 1, and C. The first chord will be D minor, the 2 chord, the 5 chord G7, 1 chord C major, 6 chord A7, which just turns us back around to the D. Okay, the quality of D minor, whether it's D minor 7, D minor 9th, D minor 6, whether the dominants have the alter tones, flat 9s, sharp 9s, flat 5s, or just regular 13ths or 9ths, none of that matters. It's minor, dominant, major. Major 7, 6, 9, doesn't matter. It's major, minor, dominant, and then the A7, same thing. So let's talk about the bass line first. Now I basically have two approaches. One is a scalar type of approach, for example, over the D minor, 1, 2, flat 3, 5, to the G7. You've got, we're doing a quarter note bass line, 4 notes per chord. The second is half-step approaches, and the term I use is bumping. I don't know where that term came from. I didn't make it up, but I like the sound of it. So we bump into the next chord, or sometimes just bump in and out of the chord we're in. So for example, all half steps here, D, half step, bump, all half steps. So it's just all just bumping, and you know, that can get a pretty good little groove going. Usually when I'm playing lines, it's a balance of the two approaches, so maybe I would start with a little scale, bump into it. Okay, and that little bit that I just did was just playing the 2 in front of the 5 of the dominant, so 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 3, 6. Okay, so let's just start with bass. So if you just try, say, doing a purely scalar method, of course, like I said, it's all quarter notes. Okay, so I was playing everything in the scale. So in the scale D minor, in the scale G7, in the scale C major. Okay, and well, I gave you a little half step there. So the bumping would just all be half steps. Okay, so that's pretty easy. I mean, the main thing is you just want to have a nice feel, the quarter notes. One secret, I think, is that the bump or the approach note, you already want to have your attention to the next chord. So the first 3 quarter notes, I'm thinking D minor. But this next note, I'm thinking about G7 and approaching it. And so if I just always say I want to approach it from half step, or although more likely I'll be coming down because this is where I already am, but perhaps I'd go up to the next one. So that helps a lot, just thinking about the next chord, so you're anticipating the changes. That way you're ready for the chords when they come around. Okay, so with the chords, again, I'm not trying to come up with my best stretch voicings and crazy voicings going on. I'm really just trying to think of some garden variety grips which don't use all my fingers, so I still have some freedom for the bass line, and I can grab quickly in motion. So for the D minor, I really just like to use. I don't even like to play the fifth. Usually, I just bar across and catch the third. The fourth is there, but if I'm playing with my fingers, I'm not actually plucking the fourth. So maybe you don't want the sound of the fourth in there. But I've got the third and the seventh and the root. That's all you need. That defines it. But I still have fingers free to catch. So you got other fingers or a minor ninth. I like that because you can hang on to a single tone throughout the whole progression. So it's just about grabbing simple voicings. For the G7, again, thirds and sevenths. That sets up the harmony. If I just catch this G7, just the root, and the third and seventh, I still, or if you don't use your thumb like me, if you use your first finger, you still have another finger or two available to play some decorations on that. So I can make a 13th or a 9th or flat 5 or flat 9, whatever I want to do with it, and still easy to grab the bass note and move it. The C major, same thing, just garden variety. No need to try and get a voicing like that and struggle to catch the bass. So what we want to do to put it together is start with the bass, just quarter notes. I'm doing a little bit of scaling, a little bit of bumping. And then just layer the chord on top. And so rhythmically, let's just try two different things. You can expand from there on your own. On the downbeat and on the offbeat. So on the downbeat, okay, so it's just on the one of the bar, I'm getting the chord and the first quarter note of the bass line. On the offbeat would be so I think I was just playing one chord per bar, and I'm playing it on the offbeat, the and of one. Okay, so when you're putting all this together, the bumping and the offbeats, the upbeat, the scale, you're not really thinking about all this stuff analytically. It's more that once you've developed the coordination and the facility to play this way, you just think about the chord changes and you think about your groove. As I said earlier, that's the primary focus, and hopefully the lines and the chords will just fall into place. It's not a conscious decision to bump here and do a scale there. It's more intuitive, just like improvisation. You'll find that some songs with a lot of chord changes, say All Things You Are or Joy Springs, things like that, there's so much motion built in harmonically that if you just keep up with the changes, they almost play themselves. For example, Joy Spring. So, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about anything except for just making the changes in a groove. I'm feeling the chords, I'm feeling the motion, and everything just falls in place. It's not an analytical process. So, hopefully you'll find it once you get it together. It's pretty easy to do that. I mean, you can look at any chart, and just follow the chords, and make it happen. I'll find the songs that are harder to walk bass on are more static harmony time tunes like So What or Little Sunflower. There's just not that built-in motion, so you have to get that much stronger of a groove. But really, walking bass and accompaniment often just simply doesn't sound very good for very long on songs like that, and so we usually set up a different kind of groove altogether. But we're not going to get into that. But a few more things you can think about with the walking bass, with the swinging walking bass, is bumping the whole chord, for example, instead of just I can bump the whole chord. So maybe I'd bump it up front, or maybe I'd bump it as an approach. Okay, so that's just another little twist you can add to it. Okay, so another thing that you can do is move the voice on top of the chord instead of the bottom. So the bass, we've been moving quarter notes. What I can sometimes do is mix that up by moving a top note in the chord. Okay, so there's just some things. I mean, there are a lot of ways, and all that is still, I think, pretty much in the same concept: quarter notes and bumping, sliding, just choosing scale tones. So just experiment with all that stuff, and hopefully you can have some fun with this too. Okay.